Yes, everyone can hear us, so I think we will kick off. Thank you so much, ladies, and so there's only a couple of gentlemen in the audience who are in attendance for our second session at the Female Leaders Bar. I'm Ellie Edwards-Scott, and I'm going to be in conversation with Cadi Jones, MD EMEA of Pixability. Welcome, Cadi.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. Now, this is called the Honesty Session, so we want to dig deep, we want to tell the truth, and we want to give the audience some tangible advice about what it's been like for your career journey. So let's start with your career journey. Can you give me some of the highlights? What are the key moments during your time in the industry?
Well, I don't want this to take too long, but I'll start at the beginning because it's quite interesting. I was studying languages, and in the UK, if you read languages, you go and spend a year abroad. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I went to spend my year abroad in a law firm. I got there, and I thought it was going to be like Suits. I was going to be all glamorous and doing loads of important work. And they turned around, they said, actually, we want you to translate and redesign our intranet site. And now I'm going to date myself a little bit, but this was in the year 2000 when brands were still like, do we need to have a website or not? And I spent a year in this law firm effectively learning how to code. I came back being like, well, there's no way I want to be a lawyer. I think this internet thing is going to take off. And so that's probably the biggest kind of flip for me. But then through my career, I think there's really been three moments that stand out for me as being really, really pivotal on the journey I've been on so far. And firstly, in 2008, I joined Yahoo.
Yeah.
I joined Yahoo at a time when they'd just made some two really, really big and important acquisitions. They bought a company called Right Media, which was the first programmatic platform. It wasn't even really programmatic then. It wasn't. There were no DSPs or SSPs, so it was exchange-based buying, but it was the start of the transformation that the industry has been on. The other company they bought was a company called Blue Lithium, who were the first sort of behavioural targeting.
That's a name I've not heard for years.
No,
Blue
sorry,
Lithium, blimey.
Show my age. But they really opened up my spirit up really to the idea that advertising could be precise, it could be targeted, it could be real-time decisioning and with real user data. So I think that was the sort of, once I was on my journey, once I knew it was the internet, that was probably the first big moment where I really had the opportunity to accelerate my career. I joined Yahoo to work on search, and suddenly I had this opportunity to throw myself into something that no one really knew about, that wasn't really cool at the time, but was the beginning of something that ended up being quite big. So that was exciting. And then if I jump on my whole decade to 2018, I joined a company called Beeswax, and again, it was a really pivotal moment in my career, really because the opportunity I had to work with such amazing people there. The founder of the business, Ari Paparo, had built out DoubleClick for Google. He'd built out the buy side of AppNexus, so it was the third DSP he'd built, and he was really trying to do something very different in the industry. And so I think that was where my knowledge level really accelerated. When you're working with people who are like scarily bright, you kind of up your game to match them. So I think that was a big moment for me. And then the final one, much more recent, but at Easter this year, I joined a company called Pixability, and I'm really excited about this, and I feel it's a next tipping point for me. Just coming on board to a company where they have really, really innovative technology, and the people are all really nice, really committed and really engaged. It just makes a big difference. I think those things don't come along, of course, together all at once.
To get a good job and that good company and good people around you.
And the real technology, there's so much smoke and mirrors in the industry. It's very easy to be swept along by a story without there being real foundations. So yes.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to switch tack slightly now because, the Female Leaders Bar, it's all about networking, it's about connecting, it's about having a safe space. But in terms of your career and just your journey in general, I'm going to say some words: mentorship, allyship, sponsorship. How important have they been in your journey, and have you had elements of them at different times in your career journey?
I mean, I think all three have been crucial. I actually think there's one missing, if I can add to yours.
Yeah, definitely.
But advocacy as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one,
really,
actually. Someone who's vouching for,
exactly.
That's so important.
And I think they've been really, really key for me. I spent a long chunk of my career at Yahoo, and there were two things that I had from various leaders there that really made a big difference. One was being given stretch assignments, and at the time I was a bit like, why have I got to do this extra work? Like, this is not in my job spec. This is like, I'm being asked to do something that's above and beyond. No one else comes to it. It's really unfair. And what I found, there was a particular leader who used to do that quite a bit. And what I found by the end of the project, I suddenly was like, oh wait, I'm now the expert in this thing because I've had to do this big project and I know about this. And I think by taking on these stretch assignments, they were really challenging me to up my knowledge and giving me that sort of mentorship, because they were but focused on a project. Like, this is how you run a project, a team, and pulling people together without necessarily being
telling,
boss, but being within that network. And then I think the other one really was within the international moves there. So during my time at Yahoo, I had the opportunity to move out to Dubai and help them to establish themselves in the Middle East. And again, it was quite scary to do that move on my own, and to figure out how to operate in a new environment with new people. I didn't have a network, didn't have contacts there. But that really, again, helped me step up in my career. And then I made the same move. I went back to Europe, and then I actually went across to New York. And again, working in New York with the American team firsthand, in this industry, I feel like once you've done that, you know how people operate. You're able to really get things moving a lot more. You can sort of work with them on their terms, mirror their styles much more easily. And so I think those were the kind of, again, if I hadn't had advocacy, support, mentorship, I'm not sure I'd have felt able to do those things. I'm not even sure those opportunities would have come up.
Yeah.
So
and it's something that's quite simple in terms of, the audience. It's something we can all implement, isn't it? We can all, you talked about, being able to help out on projects or take lead on a project. It's something simple we can say to a colleague, actually, you haven't done this before, how about you take the lead on it? So those little steps can really help someone within their career.
Yeah, and someone who doesn't, if you come to them with a problem, doesn't say, that's the answer.
Yes.
But if they say, well, what do you think?
What do you think? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here are 3 solutions you've come up with. What are the positives and negatives of each one? Which one do you think we should go with? Yeah, let's go with the one you said. That is real.
Yeah, just challenging the
thinking on it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
We talk about industry initiatives quite a lot, and we're both part of various different industry initiatives. There are women's networks such as Bloom, such as Digital Leading Ladies, Women in Programmatic Network. But still, I think women in general, are we doing enough to shout about our successes? What else should we be doing? I mean, you and I are kind of big advocates of this, and making sure we're out there and we're known, etc. But what else can women be doing? What can everyone take away and implement tomorrow or next week? I want tangible advice.
I know this is where I'm like, honestly, I really hate this question, because you go and see any panels and you never see men being asked, like, what are you doing to help other men?
No, you're right.
It's just like,
it's just
Sorry, we're live streaming.
Sorry to answer the question, but
but no, it's a good point. I think I was on a flight yesterday. I was away visiting my parents at the weekend, and coming back, that bit where they say you put your own air mask on first. There've been times in my career where it's been really hard. I got divorced. I'm now remarried. I have a brilliant husband.
Yay!
But like everyone, it doesn't matter what you're going through. There are times where you can lean in and you can do more. There are times where you're just putting your own mask on and making sure you survive. And so I think recognizing those moments when you have the ability and the opportunity to be able to lean into things, you should absolutely go for it. And I do find mentoring to be an incredibly powerful tool. I've benefited from it myself. I have some great mentors who I call on when I need help and advice. But it's also something that me as a mentor, I'm going to just pass these headphones over to this lady here. From a mentor, it's amazing how much you get back from it and how much it can really help you to accelerate.
Definitely.
So I think you're entirely right. We should keep on banging the drum, keep on talking about our achievements and the brilliant businesses that we're working for. And I think it's then thinking about how we can give back, how we can help other people.
Yeah, giving back is so important.
And leave a legacy, because it's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's powerful, and it's really industry changing. So I think lean into that as much as you can, but look after yourself first. Not, if you've just taken on a new role, if you're just, you may not be leaning into that as much as you might at other points in your career. So go easy on yourselves as women, because no one's asking you.
Yeah, because we have a tendency not to, don't we? You've got to recognise your own limits,
and
yes, as much as you may want to help everybody, it's like actually mentoring one person well is better than mentoring 3 people. All kind of half-heartedly. So that's important. Let's look on that advice piece. There's a lot done at kind of entry level within the industry for males and females, but mid-level, we've all kind of been at that kind of mid-level. You want to get to the next level, maybe get into management or move sideways into another type of role. And people sometimes get stuck at that. Any advice? What can people do who maybe feel that they're kind of stalled in their career to kind of reboot it?
Yeah, I think it's really easy to feel stuck. I think the other thing it's really easy to do is to compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
And you're looking at your peers going like, oh, they've just had this amazing job. You never know when that thing is right around the corner for yourself. So first up, don't give up.
Yeah.
I know it's sort of fallen out of fashion a bit, but I'm a big fan of just leaning into stuff. Just go for it. If you think something's too hard, just go like, well, could you give it a go? If it turns out to be that you don't have the bandwidth or it's just too challenging, you can find help, you can step back. But if you don't give yourself the opportunity to try it, it's really, really hard.
And also, I'd say don't wait for the opportunity. Don't wait for it to be if you see an opportunity, go for it. Put yourself forward as well.
Yes, I think that's really true. And I think the other piece kind of linked to that is not waiting for it to be perfect.
Yeah.
You touched on this already, Ellie.
Yes,
but
we did.
I used to really be held back by perfectionism. I used to not want to release anything into the world until it was sort of 100% perfect. And there are some times that something needs to be 100% perfect. So don't get me wrong on this. But there's other times where it just needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so I think figuring out what needs to be done what can you ship at 60%? What do you need to get to 70, 75%?
And you can figure it out along the way, can't you, sometimes?
Exactly. Yeah. But I think as soon as you let go of that perfectionism, you've got this opportunity, you may not be able to do it perfectly, but could you do a decent enough job and then get some help to figure it out? Lean into those opportunities, because they don't always come along, and when they do, just grab them, go for it, and you'll figure out the life stuff around it.
Definitely.
And then I think lean into the opportunities, don't wait for them to be perfect. And then I think the other thing is find the right support network for you at the right time, and that really changes a lot. I joined Bloom back in 2016, 17, where I was working in press in a really male environment, and I really needed to have some good women around me, and that made a big difference. Whereas in more recent years, I've worked in much more balanced companies, and I've actually found that I've wanted a more gender balanced mix of advisors. And I think so some of it, you're going to...
It comes at different stages of your life, doesn't
really
it? Different stages of a career.
And different things from different people.
Definitely. We're at time, so... I know, already.
I thought we were going to...
We were at time a little while ago, but But thank you so much, Cadi. It's been awesome talking with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie.